Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Wine Down ReWine, where we rewind the latest in entertainment and pop culture news. Thank you for joining us. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
So, Tammy, a lot has happened in the news since the last time we spoke a couple of minutes ago.
I'm supposed to say that. Wait. But are you talking about how, our whole world shut down for a couple of days? Is that what
Yeah, we're going to get to that. See, I decided that I was going to come up with some titles for this one, and I'm still trying to decide if this is when winter broke Texas, when hell literally froze over, or Problematic Ass Men Part 2. Ooh. So by the time we post this, I will definitely have come up with a title, okay?
We sure enough need one, that's true.
We do. So, I think we're going to start with when hell froze over for us. As a lot of people may know now, we live in Texas, Houston, Texas, to be exact. Shout out to the H-Town fools. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm originally from New Jersey.
Yeah, she's a swamp monster, but we won't talk about that. But you coming from the frozen swamp, you were well prepared for what really should have just been a not so normal Texas winter, because we're not used to snow and ice. Every few years it happens, and this just so happened to be
and
a year that
years they're never ever used to it or ever prepared.
No, we're not. Well, I am, because I'm from the North, or the Midwest, shout out to Indiana, South Bend, home of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Hey, I have to shout out my places and my people. Leave me alone. She's rolling her eyes at me right now. I know this.
I so am.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, we're not. In the sense that, snow, it literally does shut down this part of Texas for a day or two. And we're used to that. But we are not used to the fucking power outages. This has never, ever happened. Okay? Ever. In all the time that I've lived here, and basically I should say I'm a Texan because I pretty much have lived here my entire life, never has it happened. This was a clusterfuck of epic proportions, and it could have been completely avoided. So anyway, I'm glad we survived. And I hate saying it now because it sounds so hollow, but in all sincerity, my thoughts and prayers out to the people who had it so much worse than we did. Looking at some of those pictures and things, I was just like, I realized that for me, it really amounted to be an inconvenience rather than something and it was a bit traumatic, but rather than just a full-scale catastrophe. So, I didn't have the catastrophic parts of it, thankfully, but, and I bring that up to get us through to our first problematic man. But first, let me ask you, how are you doing? Was it?
I survived the abuse of problematic men not making good decisions. Let's just say that. Yes. So our first problematic man, and if we were doing a countdown, he would still be number one, but we're going to start with him since we're starting with this story. I remember before 2016, when he became a national figure, I guess, he was always considered to be the most hated man, not just in the Senate, but in the Congress, and that was Ted Cruz. So you're the most hated man out of all 500 people that serve in Congress, dude. And he has done a lot to go back to earning that title. But he decided that, this was too much for him, and that he was going to fly to Cancun because there was nothing that he could do here to help his people. He wasn't going to freeze in solidarity with the rest of us. But, it kind of reminded me of Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. Like, let the bitches freeze. That's what, but he decided that because his daughters begged him and he wanted to be a good father. Don't start with that bullshit. It was not his daughters. It was him.
I am going with the official story, because his daughters begged him and he wanted to be a good father. Ted Cruz decided that,
he would just go drop them off in Cancun for a few days. And then once he was outed by all the people were like, yo, what the fuck is Ted Cruz doing on the flight to Cancun? Instead of leading the people that elected him. But yeah, so I guess problematic man of the week goes to Senator Ted Cruz.
Rafael
Edward Cruz, who basically, I have to give him extra props for the way that he set his daughters up and he threw them under the bus. Then he rolled over them
a couple times.
Like, not just a couple times. It's like he kicked the bus driver out of the seat. He got into the driver's seat. He closed the door, rammed up the engine, and rolled over them like they were some fucking speed bumps in his way. On the way to the airport to get to Cancun.
Yo, like, woo, Father of the Year, people. Father of the Year.
On top of that, you gonna leave the dog. You didn't have enough freaking flyer miles. The dog didn't deserve to be warm.
Not at all.
They left the dog out.
They couldn't.
But the dog would be okay because, again, it was just to drop them off. He was coming back the next day as scheduled. But, and then he admitted that, hey, he wasn't supposed to be coming back until Saturday. So, but yeah. And
oh, Lord.
There isn't much that he could do except for AOC, who they all seem to hate and who has nothing to do with Texas other than the fact that it's part of the United States.
And she helped raise $1 million to help Texas in trouble.
$3 million.
Oh, $3 million now. Okay.
She dropped it off in Houston. She came down to Houston herself and dropped off the money for the organizations that she raised it for. And, the person who should be our Senator, Beto, he had his group making calls, almost 800,000 calls to elderly, getting them to warm houses. I forgot the official name of them. We're just going to call them warm houses and stuff like that, hot spots. But making sure that they were okay, they had food, that they could get out to places where they could stay warm and stuff like that. So there's a lot of shit you could have done besides, go to Cancun. But yeah, so that's problematic man number one. Where do you want to go next on the list of problematic ass men this week?
Justin Timberlake with his fake apology.
Yes. After what? Has it been 20 years?
I want to say it probably has been about 20 years. Because isn't he like 40?
Yeah, he was. But Justin Timberlake finally apologized to Britney Spears and Janet Jackson. Tammy, why do you feel like this apology was insincere?
His white man privilege. And he still didn't acknowledge the fact that you got white man privilege that's going to get you to get away with everything all the time. He said, oh, I have acknowledged that sometimes sometimes I have been able to survive certain things and certain rumors that have gone on. Sometimes. Dude, all the time. And then you wait until now to apologize for the fact that you did the same thing Ted Cruz did to his kids. All right? You literally ran over Britney Spears and Janet Jackson on the way to your successful career. And didn't even look in the rearview mirror to make sure they were good after you rode them over. Like, you just kept going without even looking back. And then refused to take responsibility for it. So any fake apologies that you have, I feel like it's only because you trying to do a comeback. like they do in K-pop. Like you doing a comeback. You got your new movie. I believe it's a new movie that he got that came out or is coming out. And so all of a sudden, to kind of build on the momentum of today's society, you're going to apologize now. You could have apologized secretly and then kept it moving, but you have to publicly apologize? Okay. I'm sorry. I don't believe it.
Um, well, it's been, and I heard everything you said, and it's been 17 years.
Yeah,
And
that's not
yeah, it's 20. It was 2004. That's what I was looking for. I want to know what Super Bowl was. It was during the 2004 Super Bowl, and I remember that. And I initially, I want to say that, and I'm not trying to excuse him. I understand he was young. I do. And I understand that there were handlers and people telling him probably that he shouldn't apologize, to distance himself from it. I get all of that. I do. And we're going to talk about what I'm about to say a little bit more probably in the next story. 2004 is different from 2021. And it was horrible, and it was fucked up, and he did owe her an apology. And I'm just saying, from a standpoint, I understood, especially like you said, if it wasn't a public apology, you knew right from wrong. If you felt as bad about it all this time that you say you have, you could have called her and apologized privately
at any time.
At any time, even back then, because wrong is wrong. I'm just saying the public perspective. But now, to come out and kind of give a half-assed apology, as far as that no one asked for and no one really expected, like, what is this to help promote the movie that you have out now? Or it may have been because of the way he was portrayed in the Britney Spears documentary. Britney took the brunt of that for cheating. Like, how dare she cheat on Justin Timberlake at the time when they were together, and that ended their relationship. But it was like, dude, what did someone say? I'm reading a direct quote here from Gossip. Cry me a river, conveniently courageous Justin Timberlake prudently proffers a 6,935 day late apology to Janet Jackson and Britney Spears for shameful silence and reflagrant fuckboyishness. That was Gossip for the win. Yes, I had to read that. Beautiful summary. So it's like, at any time you could have offered any of these two people an apology, and I don't know. I can't even chalk it up to better late than never. Like,
no, just put him. We're gonna just put him in the segment of problematic men, and it doesn't change anything. Not to say, and I don't want people not to say that this demeans his talent in any way. It does not. But I don't feel that publicly this was needed. I guess he was hoping it would serve its purpose. I don't know if it did, but publicly it wasn't needed. And we can move on from that. Like, okay, Justin.
I know.
All right.
It was like, to me, it's like, what was the purpose? And I have to admit, I do like his music, most of it. I didn't like the last album, but I do like his music. And, I don't know. I try not to. Sometimes I think I'm good at tuning out some of the stuff I don't want to think about. So I kind of tuned out the whole, you should have offered the apology, at least privately, a long time ago. But, like you say. Speaking of apologies, we talked about him last time on the last episode, problematic white man, Morgan Wallen. He apologized. His apology went deeper and more than what I thought. And I have to say, it surprised me. It wasn't the typical, I'm sorry, it was stupid of me. It was a full on, he told his friends, he straight up said, look, I was straight up wrong. It was some bullshit. And I'm paraphrasing, but he told his fans, stop apologizing for me. Stop defending me. It was wrong. There's no defense of it. And they say he's been trying to quietly do the work behind the scenes. Meeting with civil rights leaders. They say he's put himself on the wagon. So we'll see. But I just thought that I really, in all of these type of mea culpas and all these great big apologies, and you really hadn't heard a lot. I saw it in one of the trades. Like, there wasn't this big grand apology thing. You didn't see a lot of press about the apology. So we'll see what happens. And there's been a lot of talk about, is this going to be Nashville's wake-up call? And I guess only time will tell how country music continues to react to this. And I'm skeptical. It's me. Sometimes people call me, say I'm a little Pollyanna ish in my optimism and how I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove to me that they don't deserve it. But on this, I'm skeptical. Is this going to be Nashville's wake-up call? As someone who loves country music, I will have to say I'm just going to have to wait and see. I love country music, but I don't listen to a lot of it because I know the attitudes in country music, not just towards Black people, but towards women and all of that. So it's a little hard for me to listen to it sometimes just because, but we'll see what happens with that. Did you hear about Chris Harrison and stepping down from The Bachelor? I know that's your favorite show.
Don't get people believing that shit.
She loves the show. She tried to get me to have like a Bachelor watch party, and she was like, "We need to do an episode about The Bachelor." Like, she actually wants to do Bachelor recap.
Fans of Popcorn do not believe that shit. Okay, Eddie is lying to you. I have never watched The Bachelor. That's some BS. Like, I've never understood 25 women for one. Like, I've never understood it. But anyway,
yeah.
Like you kind of, I saw the headlines. I just was not interested enough because I don't care for the show that I wanted to know exactly what it was about. And then I got filled in, and I'm just like, I ain't surprised.
Yeah,
there's no surprise in this. Like, he's on suspension. They're gonna wait till it dies down. He's gonna come back, like, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yeah, quick recap for those of you who don't know. Chris Harrison, the host of The Bachelor. I don't watch it either, and I was just joking. She does not watch The Bachelor. And even if she did, that shit would get vetoed so quick. But anyway, so this is the first season that finally they have a Black Bachelor, and it's supposed to be one of their highest rated seasons, and it's supposed to be really good, but it's The Bachelor, so whatever. But power to the brother. You do your thing, bro. And I guess I'm happy. I'm excited because it's proving to them what they've said for the past 20 seasons, that Black people won't sell or no one wants to watch a Black Bachelor. Fuck you. You're wrong. But anyway, so one of the women vying for his attention, and he is cute, but one of the women vying for his attention, that, the internet being the internet, they pulled up some of her tweets from 2018 and some videos and stuff, and she was doing some really racist shit. I want to say there were some racist posts, QAnon related, some Confederate shit, some, she went to some school in the South and she went to one of those Confederate, I don't know. It was just really racist. And she even said that, she came out, she was like, I was wrong, I was ignorant. And she said straight up her ignorance was racist. And which I thought was, surprising, because most people just say, oh, I was wrong, I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. But she actually admitted her ignorance was racist. So anyway, Chris Harrison was on the podcast of the Black Bachelorette, Rachel Lindsay, who does a Bachelor podcast, and she asked him about it. And that motherfucker said, sorry.
Excuse her French.
Yeah, excuse my French. But you're going to understand why I had to speak French when I tell y'all what he said. He said, can we really judge her by the standards of 2018? Like 2018 was 100 years ago or 200 years ago. Like 3 years ago was 1918, when Birth of a Nation was the #1 movie in the country. And, I was just like, did he really just say that? Like,
he did. He meant it.
Can we judge her by the standard? Like, racism 3 years ago isn't racism today.
No, it's more blatant today.
Yeah, when you can when a Confederate flag makes it into the Capitol for the first time in history, you can't say that. It didn't even make it in there during this fucking Civil War. So, touche. And I was just like, did he really
And I was like you, I saw the headline and I didn't want to read it, but looking for news and stuff, I'm like, oh, what happened? Because he's been there forever, and that's what happened. So,
another problematic white man. Next. Who's up next?
Okay, so, these three, they kind of go hand in hand. Marilyn Manson, Evan Rachel Wood, and I remember this relationship, and it was so fucking cringy. But they used to date like when she was 18.
Was he in like his 40s when he dated her or something like that?
He was in his 30s. He was in his mid 30s, and it was the early 2000s and early to mid 2000s when they dated, and they were engaged, and the relationship was just so creepy. And Marilyn Manson's just fucking creepy, but she had talked about how she had been in an abusive relationship before, and she never named names, and she never said who it was, but really she and so people were like, well, you haven't had that many relationships. Anyway, they asked her at one point if it was Marilyn Manson, and I think she said no. But she came out recently and admitted that, yes, the person who abused her was Marilyn Manson. And it was some psychosomatic, it was some crazy bullshit. She said the one thing that they did not have, that it was not sexually abusive, but that it was mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive. And I was just like, wow. And then other exes and women came out and co-signed on it. Rose McGowan also co-signed that, she appreciates people standing up. So he has a history of just being an asshole, which lent, and just because you're an asshole doesn't make you abusive, but it seems he has that history. And we will see what that happens. And his agency broke up with him. He got dumped from his record label. His agents dropped him. And so he's been losing a lot of endorsement deals. I think he was dropped from his movie. So
sad. Why should somebody be punished for being an abusive prick?
So I think I came up with a theme song for this week's episode, Cry Me a River, since we talked about Justin Timberlake.
So right. I love it, Eddie. It is perfect. Because I feel like this is not going to be the last time that we have this problematic men segment. I feel like it's not going to be the last time. We're just going to keep this going.
Oh, definitely not. And Shia LaBeouf, yeah. FKA Twigs, she gave her first interview with Gayle King, and she talked about, she went into details about what he did and their relationship and how he gaslit her. And, at first she thought a lot of the stuff he did was romantic, like jumping the fence to where she lived and leaving letters for her and all this stuff. And, she's like, then I start to realize it's boundaries and, not setting boundaries. And it was a lot to see. And they asked why she came forward. And she said when she left, she begged him to get help, and she wanted him to seek treatment and also to donate to some abuse charities and do some charity work. And he refused to do that. So she finally came forward. And one of the things she said in her interview that I really appreciate, she says, you need to stop asking victims why they didn't leave, and you need to start asking abusers why they didn't leave.
Isn't it the same thing as my friend recently posted something on Facebook that says, why is it that we teach young girls what to wear and where to go and how to talk? Because if you get confronted, and I'll use that, confronted, and asked like, can I get your number? We teach girls to give a fake number out rather than being able to say no, rather than teaching boys how to take no for an answer and walking away.
Exactly. Like, we put the onus, like, I'm responsible for, and I hate using this term. So I hate using the term victim. So I'll say I'm responsible for my own abuse. Like, I'm responsible for you abusing me. It's something I did. And
you know, I had to have that conversation with someone in my family about, you know, it's not my fault if I'm in a bar and I'm dressed sexy and I don't want to talk to you. It's not my fault for demanding that you respect me. I don't have to talk to you. The way I'm dressed, I dress that way for me, not because I have to talk to you or I necessarily want your attention, you know. So I really appreciated that. And the last man in our problematic man section, yes, is Joss Whedon. And this one, it hurts because I love Buffy. And I'm not going to say the shit with Joss Whedon we knew about because he's been called out for the last few years by Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in the Justice League. And he's part of the reason why Zack Snyder was like, no, fuck this. I have to get my real movie out there. So we know all about the drama from the Justice League. Well, when that came out, one of the questions I asked was, well, how is his behavior on the other movies like Buffy, Angel, and all his other stuff? And also when that first came out, they were talking about how he was supposed to make Wonder Woman. They said his Wonder Woman was so sexist. And I read part of the script, and it was horrible.
Wait. Like, he was involved in Avengers or something like that, right?
I think he did do one of the Avengers. I think he did the one that people didn't like. I think he was Age of Ultron. I think he did the one that people didn't like the most. But Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia on both Buffy and the Angel spinoff, she came out this week and she said that she co-signed on Ray Fisher's story. She said that she participated in the Warner Brothers investigation. And she said the last straw for her was when Ray Fisher was fired/quit from The Flash. I don't know if we'll ever get a straight answer about that, but you know, she said that was the last straw, and so she laid it all bare, just about how abusive. And there were rumors. I read about the rumors, especially about if you watched Angel, how her character was treated when she was pregnant, and just how horribly they treated her character, and how the writing just totally changed for her character.
Yeah, they made her into a hated character after she was pregnant.
Yeah, and she hooked up with Angel's son and had the demon spawn and all that shit. And you come to find out, and I read that was payback, but you come to find out, she's like, yeah, it was, you know. And then he asked her if she was going to keep her baby and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck? And Michelle Trachtenberg, who played Buffy's little sister on the show, I forgot her name. She said, that there was, that he wasn't even allowed to be in a room with her. And she was like, 14, 15 when she started that show. So it's just like his problematic behavior goes back. And it just shows that you don't wake up one day and just decide to be an asshole and an abuser.
What it shows me more is the protection that he had in Hollywood, that everybody knew about this, where you were protecting teenage girls from him, and yet he was still able to have a successful career
and get lucrative jobs. And they're talking about doing a Buffy spinoff, and I'm like, oh god. And you know, and I love Buffy and I loved Angel, and it's just like, dude, you know. And it makes me sad. And even Sarah Michelle Gellar, she co-signed on it too. She didn't go into, you know, much details about it, but she agreed with Charisma Carpenter. She supported her. David Boreanaz, he did the same thing, who played Angel, who's now on SEAL Team. So you know, you have the history of these types of predators and abusers all throughout Hollywood. And
doesn't this just bring back Weinstein, and the fact that it was an open secret on what he was doing, where you had it where certain actresses, once they shared the story amongst, you know, actresses, they wouldn't even meet alone with him because they already knew, and yet he was able to have a successful career in the movie business, even as everybody knew what type of person that he was. So you would send your actress to have a meet with him, but just tell her never to meet alone.
Thank you. Weinstein, Cosby, all of them. Like, it's just a history. Yeah. So, we will see. So that is our problematic news section.
I'm just going to wipe the sweat off of my forehead over all of that nonsense of problematic men, and just look for the common factor.
common denominator. And so taking it across the pond to, I guess, across the pond, international relations. But you heard that it is official. The Sussexes have been dumped by the royal family.
That's Meghan and Harry for anyone that doesn't know.
Everyone who didn't know. I guess their quote unquote banishment has been made permanent.
Okay. Like they can say whatever they want over there in Great Britain, but we all know they left on their own accord after they realized the BS that was that family, and Harry was able to escape. Okay, so he escaped to America. All right, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome. They are going to get to keep 4 of their personal patronages, though. He gets to keep his Invictus Foundation, which really had nothing to do with the royal family. Of course, he has to give back all his military, which is the height of pettiness, knowing that he actually
that is what pisses me off more.
How much that meant to him, serving, petty. And how proud he was.
You are so petty that you are going to treat your grandson like that just because he wouldn't heal. That's literally it, because him and his wife wouldn't heal. Unlike the rest of your family members, he refused to heal, especially when y'all allowed her to be treated with such disrespect in your country. And now you're just mad at the fact that he didn't fall for it.
And the racist toxicity. I mean, the 2 people that could have brought y'all into the 21st century and made you even more popular. And, it's always been sad that Harry has been the most popular member of the royal family. Even though, he was never going to be the king. We all knew that Harry was by far the most popular member of the royal family. And then he goes and he finds a beautiful, talented Black woman and marries her, and lo and behold, pearl clutching everywhere. But also on a brighter note, congratulations to the Sussexes, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan. They announced that they are going to, they're expecting their second child at the end of this spring, who is going to be the first natural born American royal. Congratulations.
I'm so excited for that. Like, way more excited than I was when Archie was born. But you know what? I've never been like you've been way more into the royal family than I have. Like, I knew who they were, and I was really, really excited when with the royal wedding between Harry and Meghan. But I've never fully been into like all the nonsense and everything like that goes on. But not like once they you start to see like the nonsense that goes on behind the scenes, with Meghan marrying into the family and being such a public figure that she became. I'm excited about like kind of, what they're going to name their new baby, boy, girl, like, all of that. Like, I think I'm a little bit more excited than I was when she was pregnant the first time. Like, I was not interested as much. So we'll see how that goes. But it's cool. Like, they're definitely doing their own thing and they're staying independent. And I love that. Like, you can take everything that you want away from them and think that that's going to like break them, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah. And speaking of royal family adjacent, one of Meghan's besties, the great Serena Williams, she lost in the semis of the Australian Open this week to eventual Australian Open champion Naomi Osaka. And I know there was some pettiness and some, how they're always trying to pit women against each other, especially women of color who are at the height of their professions. And I hate that bullshit. But another argument came up a couple of weeks ago after the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady, the GOAT of football, he is the greatest athlete. Not athlete. He is one of the greatest athletes. I will give him that. But he is the greatest football player of all time. He won his sixth or his seventh Super Bowl? I think it's his 7th Super Bowl ring. with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Yo, go Brady, go Bucks. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I am a Tom Brady fan, and I do like the Bucks. But the argument was, someone automatically said, okay, Tom Brady, greatest athlete of all time. And people were like, whoa, slow your roll. What the fuck about Serena Williams? Like, you know, and I have to give it to him. She's not just the greatest female athlete. She is one of the greatest. She has been at the height. Like, once her and Venus took over tennis, they have had their necks on that sport, their foots on the neck of that sport, and they have not let up.
Win or lose, she's still the most talked about
she has
player in that sport. Don't nobody else know nobody else's name if it ain't Serena Williams or attached to Serena Williams. Just want to say that.
Yes. So, and you know, and I think, and so some people are like, how, when is she going to retire? And I think she's going to retire when she breaks the Grand Slam record. And I think she only has one more to go. She has 23 Grand Slam titles. And I think the record is
2 more
24.
to
go. So she 2 more to go to break it. And I think that would make her surpass Steffi Graf. Let me see. So I think you have to add, you definitely, oh no, she already surpassed Steffi Graf. Steffi Graf at 22. So
Eddie, nobody care about that.
Hey, I care.
Conversation is okay.
I'm having a conversation with myself. I basically know that Margaret Court has 24, so she's trying to pass a Margaret Court. Okay. Thank you very much for letting me have this conversation with myself. You know I'm a nerd, and once I get on something, I will not let off of it. So there is my tennis geekdom. Thank you. I apologize. We may move on now. Did you come? She's flipping me off when she's rolling her eyes at me now. And then I'm getting a silent. You do you, boo. And then I'm getting. I love you, Eddie, because she's saying that's truly an Eddie thing. Like, I know, I literally just had a conversation with myself.
When she get into that, at the end of the day, the summary is that Serena Williams is GOAT. Doesn't matter what sport you look at, she's the greatest athlete in the world, and they need to stop talking about her like she hasn't already proven her greatness multiple times over. And the fact that people watch the sport hoping for her to lose so you can celebrate her loss. And I'm not talking about just anyone. I'm talking about Black people. When you watch the sport or when you look at the news and you celebrate her loss, who are you? Who are you? That don't take away her title.
But that's
still
the thing.
Greatest of all time.
But that's the thing. It's like I understand her wanting to get 25. I understand her wanting to have that number and set it out so there is no doubt in our mind. But because A, she's a woman, because she's an unapologetic Black woman who owns her greatness, and you know, and she says what she thinks, and you know, she's just out there about it.
She is a proud Black woman who married a rich white guy and had a kid by him.
You know, so it just comes up to like it always seems like we have to go above and beyond to prove ourselves, even when we're at the height of our profession. You know, to I'm not going to say get acceptance, because if that's not the right term, but that's what's coming to mind, to just prove. Seems like we always have something to prove, no matter what it is. So, moving on from that, but Serena is the GOAT, regardless.
Wait. And I just want to say congratulations to Naomi Osaka. You know, definitely want to celebrate her achievements, but that doesn't take away from who Serena Williams is.
Oh no, because Naomi Osaka, Coco Graf, They are the up and comers in the sport, especially for Black female tennis players. We don't have a lot of American men, especially Black men, on the men's side in the slam. Yes, I'm nerding out in tennis again. I know you don't care, but you know. So they're the ones who are going to carry that Williams sister torch and on as for Black women in tennis. Okay, moving on before I geek out again. Women, problematic. We could have added her as for problematic women. Gina Carano, fired from Disney. How the fuck do you get fired from Disney?
I mean,
like,
I kind of like read a little bit of the story, but you know, she's using this excuse of, oh, she's being bullied, and she was fired for her conservative views. No, sweetie, you weren't fired for your conservative views. You were fired for your racist views. There is a difference. Acknowledge your difference.
You were fired for comparing Republicans to Nazis and the Jewish people who the Nazis basically burned alive. You know, for the Holocaust. Basically, that's what she was, you know, comparing it to. Oh, being a Republican right now is like being a Jewish person during the Holocaust. Really?
Bobby.
Like, but I'm just wanting to know how you get fired and you stop cashing that Disney check. Like, they warned her about this
times, and they told her the consequences of her actions, and she still did it. So you knew what was coming.
And I love how, you know, people who want to tout the First Amendment and free speech and all that don't actually realize what it protects you against, and
first of all,
that there are limits to all of the Bill of Rights.
Companies. How many people stop throwing out that First Amendment crap? Know your Bill of Rights before you start throwing out amendments at us. Private companies, that does not apply. It does not apply.
Thank you. When you sign that contract, I'm sure you don't read the fine print that you represent the company you work for, and they can fire you for, you know, that type of illicit speech and things of that nature. So I tell people, yeah, you just because you think you're free to say anything, you're also free to deal with those consequences of what you say. So talk that shit if you want to, but better make sure you walk that walk.
She got that new movie coming out with Ben. And she good.
Oh yeah, she was hired by some conservative movie that she gets to produce, and so I guess it's gonna be her, Kevin Sorbo,
what's the camera do?
And Antonio Sabato.
There you go.
Kirk Cameron.
Full trifecta.
Yeah, Tim Allen, Kirstie Alley. They're all gonna line up to make this great blockbuster of a movie about, I don't know, kind of take the gun. I have no idea what it's gonna be about, but I'm sure it's going to be great. And on the flip side of that, you have Daisy Ridley, who has also been cast as a problematic woman. And she was actually standing up for something that matters, standing up for herself, standing up for other women, saying, hey, if I feel uncomfortable with this, why should I have to do it? But, you know, just because she is actually speaking up for herself in a positive way, she's been labeled
they call her intimidating and aggressive. She's not just going to let you say whatever, but she is going to make sure that she speaks up for herself. She just doesn't take it. And I think that surprises people. People are not used to that. And so they're calling her aggressive. They're calling her intimidating because she's not going to smile just because you tell her to smile. She's going to smile when she wants to. And if she doesn't feel like smiling, she's not going to smile. And she said it goes back to like her Star Wars days. Like even when she was doing interviews, how they would say she gives off an intimidating vibe just because she was a happy-go-lucky you know, during all of the promotions and everything like that. And I'm just like, that was authentic. I appreciate that more than the nonsense that they try to promote. Like, everybody is just fantastic. Like, oh my God, like, this is the best thing ever. No, it's not. No. Like, give me some authenticity. And don't call her a bitch just because, you know, she has that, or she's being her authentic self.
I have that, like, and I get that because I hate that. Like, I'm not the person that I'm just going to smile if I don't feel like smiling, or I'm not just, and I don't talk if I don't feel like talking. And so it's just like,
What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Then why don't you look happy? Are you sure you're happy? Yeah, I'm fine. Like, I hate that. And women, we're always told, why don't you smile more? You should smile. Why the fuck am I going to walk around looking like I'm in a Disney movie with fairies and birds floating around my head, just smiling? Like, fuck you.
Ooh, tell everyone how you really feel.
I feel that one. I do. That might be a little triggering for me, but I feel it. I feel it in my heart, you know. So, in my heart, man, in my heart. Okay, so moving on to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm excited about this. It's getting a remake and it's getting a series and it's going to be on Amazon. And before I get into this, shout out to Donald Glover, also known as Childish Gambino. He left FX and he took that 10-figure deal at Amazon. So he's getting that Amazon Bezos money. Hey, you do your thing, brother. Anyway, just had to shout that out real quick. And you're like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, he and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, they are going to be responsible for bringing us this Mr. and Mrs. Smith series. They are writing and producing it together, which I think is going to be interesting. I want to say amazing because I love them both. I love Atlanta. I love Fleabag. And I think they're very creative and talented. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work.
We shall see. No, I would say that I'm up to this end. I love the movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Absolutely love the movie. I can watch it over and over and over
Loved
again.
It.
And I don't know what they're going to bring to that movie, because not only did I like the dry humor of the movie, but I love the action, and I don't see them in the action parts. Now, granted, if they can show it to me once it comes about, I'm definitely going to give it a chance because it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I am not going to sit here and say that I have a positive view of what they're going to bring, seeing as how they're writing and producing it. They're going to get the dry humor part. The action part is where I'm very iffy on, and I got to wait and see what they can bring me about those action parts. If they just do more dry humor than anything else, it's not going to be the Mr. and Mrs. Smith that I fell in love with. So, open-minded, but I'm going to see. I love Donald Glover. I don't him in this role.
Like I said, I'm on this one. I'm going back to being Pollyanna. I'm optimistic. I think, I know it's going to be based on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I know that they know that it's going to have some action into it. So I'm willing to see. I know he can do action. He did a little bit in that horrible Han Solo movie that we won't talk about. But I'm willing to give it a chance, and I think it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be good. So we will hold out for that one and see what it actually entails. So we are about to wrap this up, but before we do, we cannot end this without talking about two big things that happened in K-pop this week. First of all, Big Hit and Universal Music Group, they have a collaboration. Universal signed on to Big Hit's when they revamp V Live. Universal is going to be a part of that, so that's going to be big, and it's also going to increase the audience globally. And I probably want to say Universal's music artists will get on it too, so that will give it more of a global appeal. So I will be interested to see what the revamped V Live is going to look like. When are they doing that? Next year, 2023.
They're slowly supposed to implement it into Weverse. I think by summertime, Weverse is supposed to merge with V Live. But I don't know when the collaboration is going to get started.
And then they're going to redo the whole thing. Yeah. And then they're also going to collaborate. For those of you who aren't K-pop stans, such as myself, Tammy's the bigger K-pop stan. We should call her Stanita. So Tammy, the show that Island this summer, which kind of saved, although I only watched the BTS episodes, I must admit, but I did like Hyphen. That was their reality show where they found a K-pop group who actually is a lot better than some of the K-pop groups that are debuting now. But that's a different story for a different day.
Big Hit and UMG, they are going to bring an American version of Island, I'll call it that for now, to the screens. They're looking for an American / K-pop idol group. So I don't know if they're going to want them to do K-pop or they're just want them to be like
I will say
idol
they're
band
not the
group
first
kind
to
of.
do it.
So we'll see how that works out.
There are other groups that have been produced with similar concepts. So Big Hit isn't innovative in this way on what they're doing, but I'm sure that people will definitely tune in to see what can be developed from this concept.
Yeah, it's like making a band or something like that. And I get it. I think it's just innovative in the fact that this is the first time that they're actually coming into the global market. And that's the market that they're actually targeting, if that makes sense. Like, so we'll see how it turns out. The concept of the show, no, it's not innovative. I think it's just the first time that they're targeting specifically the international or U.S. market. And of course, our boys from GOT7, they dropped their encore.
I did. It made me very nostalgic.
Did you like it? The song?
Seeing as how they didn't re-sign their contract with JYPE in January when it was up after 7 years together with the company. And they said that they recorded it right after their contract was over. They went into Warner Music Korea and they recorded encore, and they taped their recording as they were recording the song. And so it's very nostalgic, the music video that goes along with the song and the words that are in the song. Definitely for their fans, to let us know that they're taking a year off. They are taking a year break, but they will be back as a group as GOT7. They even redesigned their logo for their group. JB, he changed his name or changed how he spells his stage name, JB. So I'm definitely excited, but I'm even more excited about Yogium and his collaboration with Jay Park and AOMG. Like, that is going to be amazing. Like, the dance video that he released.
Oh, that dance video was
amazing.
fire.
And then the short, like 30-second clip where him and Jay Park is dancing to welcome him into the family. Like, Jay Park is just on another level as a CEO of his company, and how he is showing he takes care of his artists, and you care about your artists because he is picking his artists one by one rather than just trying to get as many in as possible to make him money. So I really, really am excited to see what the future holds for YG.
Yeah, and they really do seem to be a family at AMOG. Like, he collabs with a lot of his artists. They do a lot of stuff as a family together, meaning, you know, a big group collaboration. And so I love that. And I happen to love Jay Park. So.
Jay Park, like,
and
phenomenal. Like, it is not only in Korean. he's American born and raised.
No, he's actually American. He's Korean American.
Yeah. But he's absolutely
from
a
Seattle to Seoul, baby. Seattle to
artist.
Seoul.
He's really, like, I want to say like he got a little thug in him, but yeah. You right. With those sleeves he definitely got a lot. But just check him out. Like, he is an amazing. If you love music, check out Jay Park. He's an amazing artist, and I can only hope that amazingness is going to show through when Yogium finally does his solo comeback with or solo debut with his company.
And the final one for today, which is in the absolute least surprising thing that happened in 2021, the Kim and Kanye West are getting a divorce. So she filed, I guess he was well enough to handle it.
And
it's very not going through an episode, which is good, not to make light of his mental health, but so.
Yeah, like it is, because they talk about how the only thing they now need to work out is their property and the joint property that they own, but they've come to an agreement over custody of their kids, and their assets, and the prenuptial agreement that was signed. And so, keep hoping that it does completely stay on this level. But you know, I just think like it's a good thing. It definitely is a good thing. It's a good thing that she waited until he was better, rather than just springing this on him while he was going through an episode last year, because it was a lot. She had to deal with a lot. He went through it, but the fact that his whole family had to go through it with him was definitely a lot for them. So let's fingers crossed that it just keeps as calm as it has been, and that they're able to just continue to co-parent with their children, 4 of them.
Oh, yeah. So, and that does it for this episode of The Rewind. Thank you for joining us as always. And be sure to check out the Wine Down daily on on the daily Wine Down at the popcornwinedown.com. Plug. We still need a sound effect. And also be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast, The Popcorn Wine Down, on Google, Apple, and Spotify.
Tammy. Bye.
And until next time, this has been Eddie.